Yes, Virginia, drawdowns happen in bull markets. This is just kind of what's happening in the markets right now. And this is why we talk about managing risk, taking profits. You know, markets are going up. It's like, Lance, markets are going up. Why are you saying take profits? This is why. As I said just a few weeks ago, I said when we get a correction in the markets, it's going to feel a lot worse than it actually is. This is a 3% drawdown, peak to trough. It's not been that big of a deal. So here's what you need to know before the bell today. Right now, the market's down about 3% from the peak, the S&P. Now, the NASDAQ's down a little bit more. We're down about 5% from the peak, kind of peak to trough on those two indexes right now. And I'm getting a lot of emails like, oh my gosh, you know, when's the selling going to end? It's just every day, it's just this relentless selling pressure, media headlines, you know, market sell off again, it's a relentless sell off, these type of things. We had the strongest 6-month rally in the index that we've seen since like 1990. It was a very relentless 6-month rally. So corrections are part of that. Yes, Virginia, drawdowns happen in bull markets. So this is just kind of what's happening in the markets right now. And we've talked about this before. This is why we talk about managing risk, taking profits. You know, markets are going up. It's like, Lance, markets are going up. Why are you saying take profits? This is why. Because you're going to get these corrections that occur. And again, as I said just a few weeks ago, I said when we get a correction in the markets, it's going to feel a lot worse than it actually is. This is a 3% drawdown, peak to trough. It's not been that big of a deal. But again, if you kind of listen to the media, it's like, oh my gosh, you know, the world's coming to an end. And I'm getting lots of emails about, you know portfolio positioning, these type of things. This is how markets work. And as we touched on a little, so yesterday we, Two Dads on Money, if you haven't seen the video, we spent a good bit of time yesterday talking about technical analysis. And so that's on the website now. But this is why technical analysis is important, is that things occur in the markets start creating a narrative. And then when that narrative falls apart, everything kind of goes with it. And we've seen so many of these narratives over the last few years, dollar debasement, Jeff Gundlach and other people are like, oh, interest rates are going to 6%. That hasn't happened. You know, and so these are the things that, you know, kind of get based into the markets. So people start buying these assets, right? You know, they buy gold, they buy, Bitcoin, they buy stocks and all these type of things. And things occur in the markets. And I'm going to give you a really good example of this. So this is a chart of Bitcoin over the last 3 years. And this is I'm not making a case for or against Bitcoin. This is not the point. What I'm laying out here is just you have to be careful of these narratives that occur because they eventually fall apart. Here's what I'm talking about. So about 2 years ago, we were about 40,000. So in January of 2024, so just 2 years ago, we were at about 40,000 on Bitcoin. And at that point, this is when Michael Saylor starts coming out like, I'm buying Bitcoin and we're going to do all this Bitcoin treasury thing. And the Fed is going to start cutting rates. And so we start kind of building in this premise of more rate cuts. And then we bring ETFs to the market. So now we provide institutional access to Bitcoin. And so we have this very large push that occurs in Bitcoin because of all this liquidity rush into this based on the narratives that effectively we're going to cut Fed policy, you know, Fed policy is going to ease, that, you know, we've got this dollar debasement issue going on, whatever it is, whatever your favorite narrative was, this is what caused that. And what now has occurred is that we've seen this fairly sharp drawdown. Again, still within a bullish trend, right? Nothing terrible has gone wrong with this, but if you kind of listen to the media, it's like, oh my gosh, why is this all going on? And the reason I'm just using Bitcoin here is because there's a good narrative behind Bitcoin, but this is a very high proxy to the NASDAQ. So what you see going on the NASDAQ with, you know, AI stocks, et cetera, very highly correlated. The NASDAQ is very highly correlated to Bitcoin. So these kind of run together in terms of liquidity. So again, we've seen this very, very nice trending rise in the index, and while we've had this very nice trending rise, right? So now we've had this reversal, we've had this break of support, and what the ETFs provided, and this was a warning that we gave you before, is saying ETFs are great, but they also provide institutions a way to short liquidity. So when you had this push in Bitcoin with ETFs and everybody piling into ETFs, you gave institutions the ability to short Bitcoin. So now you've got this issue of institutions using the ETFs to hedge Bitcoin positions, cryptocurrency positions, whatever it is, or to basically take advantage of the markets. And so this is leading to larger, more volatile drawdowns. And this is the same case that's happening within the NASDAQ, the S&P as well. Again, this is just an example of liquidity push. But this is why, as I said yesterday, this is why technicals are so important to pay attention to. You've had a very clear sell signal about a month and a half ago in Bitcoin. It gives you a very strong MACD sell signal. We were very overbought at that point. So again, this bit of a correction right now is not really surprising. It's just part of the cycle. So again, this is why it's important to pay attention to what's going on with markets. Be careful of these narratives, because the narratives eventually, all narratives, 100% of them, always break. The narratives that are put out by the markets are never long lasting, because the markets adapt to the narrative and then change. And once they change, then you've got to come up with a new narrative. So just be careful, again, what's going on in the markets right now. This is just a normal process correction from bringing down very overbought conditions after a very, very strong rally over the last few months. This will end, and then you'll have your next opportunity to invest. But this is why risk management that we talk about here on the show all the time is so very important for your money. Okay, wrap that up. That's what you need to know before the bell this morning.